Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Yes, it does, and great to have you with us on this Friday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes. Some of our best conversations from the week. We'll preview NASCAR with Tino coming up a little later on in the show. NASCAR heads to the Poconos. We'll get his thoughts on that race. Could Denny Hamlin win again? He's got 3 wins this season. Got his 63rd career win last weekend in Michigan. Part of my conversation that I had yesterday, you didn't see it. Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com, and I had an extensive conversation about the Knicks, the Game 4 win at Madison Square Garden, the 29-point comeback. We previewed Game 5. That's coming up a little later on in the show. My conversation with David Aardsma on baseball. Aaron Judge out 4 to 6 weeks for the Yankees. Baseball in Las Vegas making its debut this week. Major League Baseball games being played in Las Vegas. 6 games. For the A's. They played the Brewers, beat them 2 out of 3. Now they get the Rockies for a weekend series at the Las Vegas ballpark. And we'll get some thoughts on that with David Aardsma and what baseball in Las Vegas could be like. Is it going to be a lot like playing in Denver, where the Rockies are, where they play a mile above sea level? You know, Las Vegas, yes, it's going to be an indoor stadium eventually. Right now it's outdoors, but it's going to be an indoor stadium at 2,000 feet elevation. How is that going to affect the way the ball travels? Well, they have to go the route of the humidor. We'll talk about all of that coming up a little later on in the show as well. Bruce Beck, NBC4 New York, longtime New York sports anchor on the television side of things. He's covered the Knicks for years. We'll get thoughts with him as he heads to San Antonio to watch the Knicks in Game 5 against the Spurs. But we start things out as we always do on this Friday edition of the show. It's time for the big story. And before we tell you about the big story, a reminder, if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the Daily Wrap. It is Sports Wrap with Jason Page's daily newsletter. Monday through Friday, we give you a recap of the biggest stories we're talking about on the show. You get it right after the show is done. Go and subscribe. It's free. Just scan the QR code right there. Scan that QR code and go subscribe to the Daily Wrap. It's the Sports Wrap with Jason Page newsletter. We'll also have some columns going up there, exclusive to Daily Wrap subscribers. We encourage you, again, go and subscribe to that today. All right, the hockey last night. You cannot continue, if you are the Las Vegas Golden Knights, you cannot continue to give opportunities over and over and over again to a Carolina team that was the best in the Eastern Conference this year. They are the team that comes out of the East and represents the Eastern Conference in the Stanley Cup Final. Jordan Staal, by the way, has been just terrific. If they go on to win a Stanley Cup title, you'd have to think he's going to be in line for Conn Smythe. His 5th goal in 5 games. He scored a goal in every game of the Stanley Cup playoffs through the first 5 games. Carolina gets a 4-1 lead. They fall behind 1-0. They tie the game at 1, score 2 in the second period to make it 3-1. Get another one in the third to make it 4-1. Vegas gets one, like 6 or 7 minutes left in the third period to make it 4-2. They have a 6-on-4 advantage late in this game because Carolina inexplicably 3 delay of game penalties. 3 times where they knocked the puck out of the rink and cost themselves a man advantage. 3 times. But they also converted on the power play. Las Vegas did not. Again, they had a 6-on-4 advantage. They actually pulled the goalie with a few minutes left in this game, plus the penalty to get a 6-on-4 advantage. And Brandon Bussi is the story. I don't think he's going to win Conn Smythe because he came in the third period of Game 3. They lost that game. But man alive, what he has done, the spark he has given this team, coming in for Frederik Andersen, who had been the man leading this team throughout the playoffs after Bussi shared the goaltending duties with Anderson throughout the regular season and had a season to remember. It is amazing to watch what Bussy has done since coming in relief in Game 3 with the Golden Knights leading that game 4-0. Third period, he comes in, stops everything. I think he's given up one goal in the 3 different third periods that he's been in this series, Game 3, Game 4, Game 5 now. And he has to be the guy in net, you would think, for Rod Brindamore's team when we get to Game 6 in Las Vegas, which will be Sunday night. I think we're going 7. I've made my predictions on this series and the Knicks series. I think we're going 6 in the Knicks series, which I said before the series started. It's why you need to watch. It's why you need to listen. You can listen to loud and obnoxious and people picking fights with other people in the media and presidents of the United States and people who think they know everything. We just give it to you straight. Without the bias, we give it to you objectively. I thought the Knicks would lose Game 3 up 2-0. They did. I told you they'd win Game 4. Now, I didn't think they'd come back from 29 down. They did. And I'm telling you, I think they lose Game 5. And I think Las Vegas wins Game 6 back on their home ice to get this thing to a Game 7 in Carolina. And then, look, all bets are off. Literally and figuratively. All bets are off in a Game 7. By the way, for those who care about such things, Las Vegas is plus a goal and a half juice to that Vegas spread at plus 1.5, minus 280 if you want to get them that way. The money line is basically dead even. Carolina minus 115, a slight favorite to win the game. Vegas minus 104. So either way, no matter which team you take, give them a little bit of that juice. But I think Vegas wins. Minus 104, the total 5.5 in that Game 6 in Las Vegas on Sunday night. So we'll see where the chips fall in that series. It has been a very entertaining series. The first 3 games were kind of nuts. Game 4, Game 5, things settling more into that Carolina flow. And now we'll see what happens in Game 6, where I think we're going back to Carolina for Game 7 in that series. All right, we got a lot more to do on the show. As I said, Bruce Beck, NBC4 New York, coming up in a few minutes at the airport in Newark as he flies out to San Antonio for Game 5 between the Knicks and the Spurs. Does it end in 5? What does Bruce think? We'll also talk about Game 4. All of that is next. Welcome back to the show. Knicks Spurs Game 5, Saturday night in San Antonio. The one and only Bruce Beck, NBC4, longtime sports anchor, sports director there, hangs out with us from the airport in Newark, New Jersey, where he's headed out to the game. That is dedication, man. I love you, man. I do.
That's it. Anything for you, Jason. I'm giving you my Rutgers backdrop here at Newark. I'm a big Greg Schiano fan. Scarlet Knights. I do a lot of the Rutgers shows. I do all their stuff online, a show called Nightlife. So I figured I'd give you this backdrop on the way to San Antonio.
I love it.
For what could be a special night for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, let's talk about Game 4 before we get to Game 5, because there's going to say
Game 4?
Yeah, well, there's going to say they're going to talk about 1 million people being at Game 4. But there were really only like 20 some odd thousand people there, and you were one of them. Try and give me a sense. I think of Mateau. That's the first thing that comes to mind for me to try and find something in my lifetime to sort of match it up with. What comes to mind for you now that you've had a couple of days to sort of marinate in it?
First of all, Jason, it's 19,812, but 500,000 people in 10 years will say they were there that night. I would say, and I said this on one of my social media posts, this has to be one of the 4 greatest sporting events in the history of Madison Square Garden. Ollie Frazier won. Willis Reed walking out on the court as the Knicks beat the Lakers in Game 7 of 1970's NBA Finals. the Rangers winning the Stanley Cup in 1994, exorcising the ghost of Red Dutton and winning their first Stanley Cup in 54 years. And this one. Now, obviously, this one's hollow if it doesn't end up with a championship. But I would say in terms of the magic of that night, I don't ever remember being at a sporting event like that in the last 20 years.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I got from watching it from afar and watching it on television. The volume. I was watching something great. Somebody put something on social media today that I loved. It was, and I love Mike Breen to death, but somebody put up about a 15-minute montage of highlights with just the crowd noise. It was just the game with the crowd noise.
Wow.
And the sound is just amazing, even through television. Give me a sense for what it was like. Can you even hear yourself think in those moments?
You know, I think there was a few moments in the first half where it was kind of quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Knicks were down 29. In the second half, they're down 27 at halftime. They weren't doing anything right. The Spurs made 14 threes in the first half, which was an NBA record for a first half in a finals game. Nothing was going right. But when the Knicks started to come, you're absolutely right, the place was electric. And all the celebrities are always in view and you know, kind of on all the screens for the ABC coverage. But it wasn't just the celebrities. It was just the whole place. Everything was magnetic. It was a feeling that the team just kept coming, and they know that they're going to come back in games. Here's a great stat for you. Since 2024, the Knicks are 7-6 in games where they trail in the playoffs in the second half by 14 or more. The rest of the NBA is 10-100.
Wow.
The Knicks know how to come from behind, and they've done it as they did last year against Boston and in the early round here, or actually the Eastern Conference Finals, against Cleveland. So they do believe that they can come back, but that was extraordinary. 29 in a finals game when a team is on fire, shooting 61% in the first half. That's hard to do.
Yeah, it certainly is. Look, I think it's coming back to New York for Game 6.
I don't think so, but you might be right.
The odds makers think so. The prediction markets all think so. If you look at the spreads and all that stuff, I think it's coming back for Game 6. This Spurs team has been resilient all season long, all throughout this postseason. I think they put it together. I think the extra day helps as well. I think they get the win in Game 5, and we get it back to the Garden for Game 6. And then, you know, the pressure does kind of shift back to New York at that point because you don't want to face a Game 7 on the road in San Antonio. Do you think it ends in San Antonio, or are the Knicks going to win it in 5?
I mean, I'm packed ready to go. I'm not going to watch the Knicks lose. I really think that the Knicks are going to win. I think they're the better team. I think the Spurs team is going to be a force in the league for 10 years to come. They've got the nucleus, Harper and Castle and Wemby, and they're a very athletic young team. But I think the Knicks are just a better shooting team. I think that was an aberration at first half where the Spurs shot 14 threes and scored 42 points from three-point land. I just think that the Knicks are ready to close now. Brunson hasn't shot well, so we haven't seen the best of Brunson yet. Karl Anthony Towns has not really played well since the first 2 games. You know, going into the last game, Jason, he hadn't scored a point in the fourth quarter in the first 3 games. So I just think that the Knicks are a team of destiny. And I think that when they share the basketball like they did in Game 4, they didn't do that in Game 3. They had only 18 assists, which is unlike them. I just think that they're over that one hump, and I think they're going to close it out. But, you know, nothing would surprise me. This is a crazy series. It's been a great series, and I think you might be right. Anything can happen, but I truly believe the Knicks will close it out.
Bruce, I got to tell you, the Knicks could just as easily be down 3-1 in this series as up 3-1. I mean, that's why the argument of them being, I don't know that they're the better team. And even if they win this championship, it's kind of amazing. Every time a team wins a championship, we start to have the conversation. Is this their era? Are they going to go on a run? I don't feel, it would not shock me at all if this was just sort of a one and done deal for the Knicks. They win the championship this year, and then we're back to talking about these great teams in the West.
You never know. I agree with the concept that you never know if you'll be back. That's all the more reason that the Knicks need to win now, because you don't know about injuries next year. Landry Shamit's going to get a boatload of money somewhere else. You just never know how it's going to unfold. But let's just focus on the present. And in the present, I think they're the best team in the NBA right now. I think they won 13 in a row. That's not a fluke. That was, the second longest streak in the history of the NBA. And they lost the ball game that, they easily could have won.
Bruce Beck, NBC4 New York, does a terrific job. He's on his way to San Antonio, hopefully to see the Knicks close out this championship run. Always appreciate you, my friend. Safe travels. We'll talk soon.
Thanks so much, Jason. It should be a great ball game.
Welcome back to the show. Let's talk some more NBA. Yesterday, I had Kurt Helin on the show. You only saw part of the conversation, though. He's with Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Joins us all throughout the NBA season. Let's talk more about Game 5, the mindset of the Spurs as they head into this game against the Knicks, with the Knicks having a chance to close out the series. Here's more of that convo. I mean, for example, if I said for the next 5 years, more titles, Knicks or Spurs, you're going to say the Spurs 100 times, right? But in just that, and it just goes to show you in just 1 year postseason, fluky as it may be, it just might be the Knicks' year. And I don't normally believe in sort of, fate and destiny and all this. I don't believe in that. Or karma, because I've opened the door a million times for little old ladies and nobody ever opens one for me. That sort of thing. But it just felt like that last night.
First off, Jason, you're getting to the age where people are going to start opening the door for you and calling you sir. Don't worry, you're close. Second, beyond that, I do think that this is, for the Spurs, I think we will ultimately look back on this as Kobe airballing shots against the Jazz, or the one nobody likes to talk about because he didn't do it in the finals, Jordan getting his head handed to him by the bad boy Pistons year after year after year. Like, I do believe there is a learning curve, and I picked the Spurs because I thought that they were going to be different in the finals, just because they had done this to OKC, and maybe that ended up just more being about familiarity with their opponent. Like, they just weren't intimidated by a team they'd already seen so much. And the Knicks are a different matchup and a different problem, but their inexperience, their youth has shown through in big moments in this series. And it's the first time in this playoffs. It's what I thought would hold them back. The Knicks have become the team to expose it, and the Knicks have been the team that had to learn how to grind it out and win. And James Dolan is a huge winner out of this, by the way, because he was going to get all sorts of bad karma. You blew and now this. He also was the guy who pushed for Mike Brown over Tom Thibodeau, and that now looks prescient.
Yeah, it certainly does. Anunoby. I was listening to Scott Van Pelt after the game, and maybe he was prisoner to the moment. And Scott's one of my favorite things in all of sports media these days, especially on television. Yeah. He is the saving grace of that network as far as I'm concerned. He went kind of deep on the Anunoby thing and said, he's not just becoming a star, he's becoming a superstar, the two-way player, all of that. Is that prisoner to the moment kind of stuff? Is he really emerging as that kind of star? Because I don't still get that from him. I think he's a great two-way player.
Yeah.
I think he does some things really well. But, if we're talking like a big three is he part of the big three that is the Knicks? Like, how do you view Anunoby coming off not just this, but what we've seen when he's been healthy in the postseason?
He's still the number three, though, right? He's one of the big three, but he's the three. And I wouldn't throw the word superstar at him, although he was on my long list of guys, and one of the guys when I was putting together end of season awards, he was on my. Should we consider him for all NBA because of what he brings on both ends of the floor and in his defense? But he's not the lead guy. And I don't think you become look, Brunson's a superstar. Towns has, and justified is not the word I'm looking for. It's shown you why he was a number one pick, right? You kind of forget Karl Anthony Towns was a number one pick. And this is why Karl Anthony Towns was a number one pick, is the plays he's made through these playoffs. But it's Anunoby is, look, he's risen his star. If he ever buys another meal in New York, the New Yorkers are doing it wrong. But I don't think he's going to be a breakout personality star. By the way, he's so low key. Like, he is just
so almost to a point where I'm like, serial killer vibes. Like, how are you not smiling? Like, he's
always that way. And
wow.
It's funny because they've tried to put him in spots during the finals. They have interview rooms and they put guys in different places depending on, and Anunoby should be he should be in the main room, right? He should be on the podium one, and he obviously was after this game, but he's usually not, only because if you bring him up, most of the experienced media goes, I'm not going to get anything. I'm not. And I have quotes from him last night because he kind of expounded a little, but he's Kawhi-like in that way where you kind of got to catch him at the right moment. He's not really a talkative. He's kind of a quiet guy. I think, by the way, I think that was part of the problem for Darren Peterson this season, is that he didn't come out and defend himself. He's more that guy than the in-your-face guy. And so sometimes those guys get misinterpreted. I don't think he becomes the set superstar, but he also might be all NBA next year because there will be spillover and carry. People will notice what he does, I think, more than they did before, even though what he's doing, well, not to the level of game 4, but what he's done in this series is kind of what he does all the time.
Focus on game 5 back in San Antonio. Does this make it back to New York for game 6? I think it does. We have seen how resilient this Spurs team is all season long, and particularly in this postseason. I think it's getting back to New York for game 6. I've not seen a single instance in this postseason that I could recall where there was carryover. Plus, you get the extra day off.
Yeah.
With game 5 being on Saturday night in San Antonio. I think it makes it back to New York for game 6. What do you think?
I agree. I wouldn't. Here's the thing. After game 2, after the ugly pass off the back loss for the Spurs, you thought, man, now they're going to New York. And that's when the Spurs bounce back. They do have that resilience, right? That was their best game of the series. Through what was and they had focused better through what was a weird, the players had to show up early. It threw off their routine. Like, everything was just different with that game, and they handled it a little better. So I think the idea that they go home and handle their business, and you mentioned the other part, the extra day off is huge, particularly for Wembanyama, because he's got to play 40 minutes, and he's going to get a little crap for, he got tired and gassed in the end. He's a big man. Like, if you're pushing your big man, I don't care if it's Jokic, I don't care who it is, when you get up into those minutes, you're asking a lot of a big guy like that, because they just tire out easier, and you got to have a second guy. Frankly, Luke Cornett's about as good a backup center as you're normally going to get. He was great during the regular season. He was great through 3 rounds, and it's just not been enough this series.
Kurt Helin, Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. Thank you, my friend.
Take care, buddy.
Welcome back to the show. Every Wednesday on Sports Wrap, we go inside baseball with our friend David Hartsma, the former big league reliever and closer, is so gracious to hang out with us on the program. A lot of big stories around baseball. Tarek Skubal getting set to make his return less than 40 days removed from elbow surgery. Amazing. Las Vegas hosting its second Major League Baseball regular season series. A's taking on the Rockies after taking 2 of 3 from the Brewers in Las Vegas to start the week. A lot of balls flying out of the ballpark in Las Vegas. We'll get into that with David as well. Big series in baseball this weekend, Yankees and Blue Jays. Blue Jays have been struggling to get their heads above water, 33 and 36. They had some injuries that have sort of saddled that team. They've been saddled with some injuries. And the Yankees right now are dealing with the loss of Aaron Judge. 4 to 6 weeks at a minimum he's out with this rib injury. And a lot of times that would give you cause for concern if you are a Yankees fan. That was something I discussed with David Aardsma on the show this week, and he joined us on Wednesday as SportsWrap. We love to go inside baseball, and David Aardsma helps us do it, talking about Aaron Judge here on the show. Aaron Judge, 4 to 6 weeks. A lot of people say the Yankees are better equipped this time around to get by without him than they were in previous years where they've lost him for a long time. You agree with that?
100%. I think they're a better team, more all-around team. I don't think they're built on a couple guys right in the middle that are power, that are probably going to be hurt players. I think they're the more overall better just from top to bottom, all 26 players. Mm-hmm. So I like this team. I think they can survive, where in the past, you just saw a hard drop off. I think this team will survive, will make it through. They made great moves in the last year and a half that finally are kind of cementing some of this stuff. At some point, they'll figure out that bullpen, please.
Yeah, good luck with that. Give me a thought on, we were talking about this on the show yesterday, Sam and I. The A's playing in Las Vegas. First Major League Baseball game in the history of Las Vegas. Winds up being maybe the most entertaining game in all of baseball this year. 15-14. And a lot of people forget, because it's Las Vegas, it's the desert. A lot of people don't know. It's 2,000 feet above sea level here in Las Vegas. It's not Coors Field where it's, 3,000, 600 feet or 4,000 feet above sea level. But there's still a sea level change. Obviously outdoors too with the heat, the ball's going to travel a little more. But even when they move indoors to the new stadium, David, what happens, as far as, do you want to be a pitcher in Las Vegas in a couple of years?
I want nothing to do with it. Absolutely. You think Coors Field was bad? This is way worse. Guys, I played here in AAA for years and years and years. Huge stadium, massive walls, and it was like a fireworks display every single night. Go look at AAA stats. Go look and see where Las Vegas stands historically year after year. And a lot of those years, until recently, it was always AAA balls, which were more dead and you couldn't get as much out of it. Those Major League balls are like hitting with a cheat code. It's incredible. There's a reason why it's 15-14. It'll be a lot. Guys will suffer. But again, you just have to change your mindset when you pitch there, pitch other places, kind of like Coors Field.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Tell me about pitching in Coors Field and the immediate things you notice, when you go from pitching a game in, say, Cincinnati to a game in Colorado.
You have to be okay with a home run. You have to be okay with giving up a run. You can't be on the same level. You have to lower your expectations of yourself. Sliders aren't going to move as much. Curveballs will definitely not move as much. Changeups, splits, those are definitely changeups are the pitch to play. Fastball, high spin rate fastballs, changeups, those work. Allow for pop-ups and allow to get guys out. If they go out, they go out. But it's a hard place to pitch, and your numbers are not going to be good. Just go pitch well on the road. Be the opposite of Seattle, right? They pitch so well at home, mediocre on the road. You have to do that.
The Tarek Skubal rehab.
This is insane.
Yeah, well, I'm dying to kind of get your take. What is the big takeaway from them sort of cleaning out the elbow and him being able to come back this fast?
Just remember, the only thing that was stopping anybody from doing this in the past was the surgical equipment we used to use. Involved more invasive, right? So they had to get the chunk out. They had to cut through a little muscle. They had to get through stuff. So it would take 3 months. All they did was find a smaller tool to get in there and get more direct to the piece and get it out. So he didn't have to suffer what other pitchers have suffered. He didn't have Tommy John. He didn't have any replacement surgery, nothing like that. They just got a loose body, which means just a little piece of, hard bone basically out, or calcium out. And that makes him feel good. Everybody would be on the same page. It's just now we're seeing him against minor leaguers, which is ridiculous. 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, no know anything. 98 miles an hour on his rehab outing, which is insane. But again, he's the best pitcher in the world, and now we see why.
All right. Is he on that roster after the trade deadline? They're 27 and 39.
No. They went all in. I do think, though, I think the Tigers see this as still an opportunity because they still have probably the best roster. Maybe the Royals and them have the best rosters in all that Central.
And they're both 27 and 39.
Yeah.
But they both had injuries, too.
They're still in a place to win it, to take that division, which is the scary thing is like, again, the Guardians are leading the division with a -1 run differential. So they have to figure a few things out if they're going to. And if yes, I'm saying yes. I'm just sticking with it. Done.
You think he's there after the trade deadline?
I think he is.
It's okay.
Yes.
You'll have time to amend that next week or the week after. David Aardsma, always appreciate you, my friend. Great week, great times. Be well, my friend.
Oh, thank you.
We'll wrap it up with some odds and ends 10 minutes from now. Let's talk NASCAR, because if it's a Friday, it's a NASCAR Friday with the one and only Tino Patino. Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Handicapper over there. Catch him on the weekends on Tubi as well. And here with us every Friday. Who's better than us? Nobody! So, Tino Patino, Denny Hamlin. It was so, the first part of this season, it was Tyler Reddick. Now we're getting into the middle stages, and it feels like it's Denny Hamlin. Who's going to be the next run? Who's that next guy that goes on a run this season? First, it was Reddick. He wrecked last week. He won a stage, though. Was he mad at Carson Hocevar, if I'm not mistaken, too, after the race? I think he was a little teed off with Hocevar, if I'm not mistaken. Which, get in line. That's a long list.
Everyone's mad at Hocevar.
Everybody wants a piece of Carson Hocevar, who's just having a blast out there doing his thing. Be damned what it means to everybody else. But Denny's in the midst of a great run right now. Talk about Denny first, and then let's figure out who's the next guy.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, but to stick with Denny, this is the best driving I've seen from him, and it's cool because we mentioned this last week. He keeps getting better after year. To see it happen this way, back-to-back weeks, starting at the front, having to go to the back for adjustments and things like that, and then still powering his way to get the victory. You don't really see that happen multiple times in a row. And Denny's doing it. I will say this, attrition in the race, a lot of cautions, big wrecks, took out some contenders. But either way, minus the contenders, Denny Hamlin finished with an 11-second lead, the largest margin of victory since 2018, Martin Truex Jr. at Auto Club. To me, to see Denny do everything he's been doing, having the run he's been on, like you just said, and when we're mentioning every week, it gets better and better. It's just different than Reddick's. Reddick's was strong, powerful, but at the time we were like, oh, wow, he has a 200-point lead over everyone else. He's got 5 wins at that point of the year, and now Denny has 3 wins, and now Denny's chipping away, and now it's seemingly believable that he can battle for the championship point standing lead after Tyler Reddick had a 200 points standing lead. Like, it's insane to see this happening.
Yeah, that race at Michigan was clunky. That would be the way I described it. It was clunky because of all the cautions. Most cautions in a race this year, I think it was 10, something to that effect. So who is the next? Who's the next person to go on a run? Kyle Larson's knocking on the door. It feels like it's only a matter of time before he wins again. Bubba had a good finish last week. Not that I expect him to run off a bunch of races in a row. If there is somebody else that can do that, who is it, Tina?
Well, this might not be the most exciting answer, but it's SVG. You look at the schedule.
Come on. Oh,
you look at
the schedule. All right.
I got to be matter of fact. I mean, you got after this week at Pocono, you go to the San Diego street course race, which is going to be awesome on the naval base, but it's a road course, and that's SVG. And then what's up the next week? Sonoma. road course. So 2 weeks in a row, we're going to have back-to-back SVG. At least that's what you got to think. So he would technically be the next guy to go on a run. If we count road courses, take them out. Don't count them, I should say.
Yeah.
Take them out. I would have to say, this is a tough one. It's a tough one because I feel like it has to be a Toyota driver. So I'm going to go with Chase Briscoe. I think Briscoe can rattle off a few wins. Bell was there, and who knows, maybe he can. I'm sure we'll talk about the injury that he sustained at Michigan. Hard impact there. But these are two guys that were right up there battling for the win with Denny. We saw it at Nashville. So I think Chase Briscoe has a good shot to knock off a few wins.
You mentioned the wreck last week, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell. I mean, that was scary. The speed with which they collided into the safety barrier. And I talked about it with Jerry Bonkowski. He says, look, it's a testament to the safety and what they've done with safety in this sport. Bell's going to be sidelined, obviously, ankle and wrist injury. What did you see watching that wreck last week?
Like you said, I saw safety, right? But I also saw speed, and it was like guaranteed on record, a fact. Now, looking back, officials have said that was the hardest wreck in the next gen era history of NASCAR. Yeah, and that's pretty powerful because there have been some huge wrecks recently. Super speedways obviously coming to mind. Ryan Blaney's had a few big ones there, but nothing bigger than that based off of how those cars wrecked and their trajectory going into the wall with the speed at which they did. I will say this as well, like Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, not only able to walk out of their cars, check on each other. That was a great sign of sportsmanship, and ultimately, it wasn't intentional, just lost it. And that is one of the highest speed tracks we go to, Michigan. So it all made sense, but it made it feel even better after being so scary that they were able to walk away. Christopher Bell is racing at Pocono, though. He did sustain the broken wrist, but what's even crazier about that is, we could see a decrease in performance, I'm sure, and no one's going to fault him for that, but Brad Keselowski at Pocono, broken ankle, ended up winning that race. So you never know what could happen with these NASCAR drivers. I just think it's cool to see how tough they are.
Chase Briscoe, the winner last year. Denny Hamlin was the runner-up. It was a fuel mileage sort of saving competition between those two. Hamlin the favorite at plus 250. And then all the way down, it's Tyler Reddick to 7-1. Kyle Larson plus 850. Christopher Bell plus 850. And then Chase Elliott and William Byron at 10-1. Who do you like?
Well, I like Denny Hamlin, and that's not fun to say, but he is the all-time wins leader at Pocono. So you go to a track where he already has momentum. It's one of his better tracks. If it's not him, I look at Ryan Blaney, who's also very strong here. The long, flat straightaways helps the speeds. Chase Briscoe, who you mentioned, has been up there. Hosvar and Daniel Suarez have been really fast. I wanted to give them their flowers there. And the other thing I noted from Michigan is Kyle Larson, William Byron, they don't have the speed this year. Maybe they can turn it around, but it's Chase Elliott. He's top dog at that camp. I'm not surprised anymore when I see Kyle Larson not where he's supposed to be, and that's contending for wins.
All right, Tino's picking Denny Hamlin. Catch him this weekend, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio on the handicapping side, also on Tubi. Always appreciate you, my man. Be well.
Thank you.
All right, just about time to put the wraps on this baby for another week. Some reminders to get you in the mood for the weekend. SportsWrap weekends. Available on many of these same affiliates. If not, check your local listing for time and schedule. You know we have the Monday through Friday 1-hour version of the show. Did you know there's a weekend edition? 30 minutes. Covering everything we went through throughout the week. Sometimes some new and interesting content there. Otherwise, we're just giving you sort of a recap of what SportsWrap was all about during that particular week. SportsWrap weekends, 30 minutes. Look for it on your channel guide, wherever it may be. Again, check your local listing for time and schedule. Could be on this very station, or it could be on another station in your market. Sometimes a sister station carries it. Sometimes we're on cable during the week, broadcast on the weekends. I don't know. I don't make the rules. SportsWrap weekends. Also, the SportsWrap with Jason Page podcast. Monday through Friday TV version of the show, but in its audio form. It works just as well because I do have a radio background. I did spend 20 years plus in radio. The SportsWrap with Jason Page podcast. Subscribe today. Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, anywhere you get a podcast. You can listen to this show Monday through Friday, 45 minutes, limited commercial interruptions. We have the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. That is the place for all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show is there. Extended conversations that we can't fit into the TV show because we're restrained by having an hour a day. Sometimes we talk a little more, and sometimes guests like to talk a little bit more. We put all of that into the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Those extended conversations. We hope you will give those a try. Sports Wrap originals are there. Sports Wrap shorts are there. 1 to 3 minute long videos covering the top news stories. That game last night between Carolina and Vegas ends. Boom. We're right there with the Sports Wrap short, recapping the game, telling you what it all means. Quick, short videos made for people on the go. Our newest entry into the Sports Wrap universe, the Sports Wrap with Jason Page website. SportsWrap.tv is where you want to go for everything having to do with the show. You want to find your affiliate. Want to find, where we're going to be. What station are we on in your market? If you're watching us on YouTube, there's a good chance you can watch us on TV. You can DVR the show. Go and check out the Sports Wrap website, SportsWrap.tv. Sports Wrap shorts are there. The Substack newsletter, the Daily Wrap, is available there as well. We encourage you to go to sportswrap.tv for all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page. You can even send us comments there as well on the show if you like it or if there's something you don't like. And without any further delay on this Friday edition of the show, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, a couple of big performances in the W last night in the WNBA. How about Indiana? They put up 114. They beat Chicago 114-106 last night. And something that's never happened in the history of the WNBA took place last night. You had Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston both going over 30 points in this game. Aaliyah Boston, 34 points, 12 rebounds on 13 of 26 shooting. Caitlin Clark, 32 points on 8 of 18 shooting. She was 15 of 15 from the line, by the way. With 10 assists and 7 rebounds. Indiana to 7-5 on the season. First time two players go for 30-plus in a WNBA game. Not to be outdone last night. Hats off to the Dallas Wings' Paige Beckers, who I think is just going to be a prolific scorer in this league. And I think is going to win an MVP award at some point during her time in this league. She goes for 31 last night as Dallas beats Phoenix 85-70. By the way, Dallas 8-4 on the young WNBA season. Beckers goes for 31. By the way, her girlfriend, AZ Fudd, 17 points as her fine rookie campaign continues. But Beckers goes for 31. Here's what's amazing about this. She didn't shoot a single free throw in the game. 3 of 5 from 3. She goes for 31 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. None of it at the free throw line. She is no SGA, that is for sure. She is master of the mid-range, but she is no SGA. She doesn't need to do it from the free throw line. She had 31. I think they said it was the most points ever scored in a WNBA game for a player who didn't shoot a single free throw. Again, Dallas continues to be a story. Boy, I would love to see Dallas and Paige Beckers against Caitlin Clark in the playoffs. Caitlin Clark versus Paige Beckers. I mean, sign me up for that. It would be fantastic. World Cup, United States and Paraguay will go at it in the first game in the United States of this version, this edition of the World Cup. U.S. are sizable favorites in this game, as they should be. The United States plus 105 to win, plus 220 to tie, and Paraguay is plus 290 to win the game. So that's where we are on that. Maybe not as big a favorite as I thought they would be, actually. Only plus 105. Thought the U.S. would be bigger favorites than that. It'll be fun to watch. The World Cup getting underway. Mexico got a win in the first game of the entire World Cup yesterday. I think they beat South Africa. It's going to wrap it up for us on this Friday edition of the show. Thank you to all our guests. David Ardsma, Tina Patino, Kurt Helin, Bruce Beck, all of you at home for watching all week long. Don't forget, Sports Wrap Weekends. Check that out. Go Knicks! NBA champions when we come back on Monday? I don't think so. I think we're getting a Game 6 in this series back at Madison Square Garden. We'll see what happens. Until next time, I'm Jason Page. That does it for Sports Wrap.